seems like they're ready to swim.
No, that's just in case they fall in.
Or there's one type of fish.
Look at all them fish.
Fish in here.
See all them fish?
No, those are
Sucker.
no, those things that going across the surface of the water.
Those look like little bass.
Oh wow.
They look like little bass. See a bunch of them? There's a whole pool of them. Alright guys. Looks like one of them's coming in. See them, they're just slipping right here.
For another reason. That was for all the movies that have been made here. First movie filmed here was in 1916. It was a silent black and white movie called Seven Swans. Now since then there's been well over 200 movies, commercials, TV shows, and documentaries made here. Bad actors work here like Jane Russell, James Dean, Jerry Lewis, Jackie Gleason, Tom Cruise, Burt Reynolds, Lloyd Bridges, and Johnny Weissmuller as the original Tarzan. So this first spring below us here is called Spring of Stars, named in honor of all those actors that have worked here. So if you follow the white slope down there where it meets that ledge towards the front of the boat, that is the spring entrance or the spring vent.
See it right there?
Since it parallels the river bottom, this is a horizontal vent. And it is 26 feet deep below us.
You better put a life jacket on Evan in case he falls.
Now, filmmakers like coming here because of the clarity of the water, the natural lighting. They didn't have to travel too far offshore to find somewhere to make a movie.
Where's your mom?
It's fine, baby. I'm gonna go on the phone. You taking pictures, Derek?
Oh, he can't.
Now, it has been some time since we've actually had a movie made here, so the star of our springs are our fish. You know, we come up here and wave at everybody.
Yeah, they do. Look at them. See? Too bad you can't have a fishing pole.
Yeah, I wish we could.
Look at them. Yeah. Whoa.
These little guys down here are called brim and bluegill. We call them lucky brim because it's illegal to fish along the entire Silver River, so they're never going to make it home to a fish fry. That big fish that's swimming in the center pane there, that is a bowfin. They're actually left over from the Jurassic period. They still have an air bladder that allows them to gulp air from the surface, so you'll see him swim by and release air bubbles. We have bass, catfish, mullet. The blue fish down there with the forked tail are called blue shad. And we also have two non-native species of fish in the ecosystem here. That would be the armor cat of the placo and the blue tilapia.
Are those baby fish or food?
We also have the spotted garfish and the Florida garfish. There's a largemouth bass down there. Another bass down there next to the weed line, and a turtle swimming over here on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I see it.
Now, our next spring we're going to view is an actual movie set. This spring below us is called Creature Spring.
Creature Spring.
The cave down there is called Creature Cave. Anybody want to take a guess at what three movies were made below us here? You have Creature from the Black Lagoon, Return of the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Revenge of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Trying to get that pile of weeds off the front bus there so you can see it up there. Now, in every one of those movies, you'll see that cave down there because that was the creature's home. The creature was named the cave. Believe it or not, that cavern down there is large enough for divers to go in. A team of divers did explore these caverns several years ago. This particular one year, they made it to the official depth of 81 feet. That's when they had to stop because the opening actually got too small for them to crawl through at that point.
Maybe I should go
So they took their dive lights and shined it through that hole. They said the light beams just disappeared into a black void. They cannot locate the walls or the bottom of the cavern. They also carried a spool of string with them, 200 feet long with a weight at the bottom of it. The idea, you drop the weight down there, when it hits the bottom, you measure off how much string spools out. They had one problem. The weight never touched anything. So the true depth here in the Florida aquifer is still unknown. All kind of things come out of this spring. It's really strange. Matter of fact, legend has it, when they rolled that string back up again, they said there was a little note attached to it. So it was written in Chinese. Some of them actually have black sand with white sand bubbling up in the middle of it. It's really cool. But if you focus at the center of them, you'll see that sand bubbling up there. It looks like boiling water. That's why they call these sand boils.
I see a sand boil. I see more sand boils. Are there any grass in the bottom of the boat? Is that not? I want to feel for the hole. That but it's not safe right now.
Now coming into view under the boat here, you'll see this rather unique rock formation down there. It's actually 30 feet long, sticks up off the bottom, it's sectioned off. At first glance, doesn't it look like down to the backbone of a dinosaur fossil?
Wow, look at that big bubble tree.
Yeah, then they tested it and told us it was just a rock. Well, we still call it dinosaur rock now. You see that long piece of wood directly below the boat that parallels that rock formation? It's about 14 inches across and about 20 feet long. That is a Native American dugout canoe, or what's left of one.
Awesome.
Now, the University of Florida carbon dated that about 35 years ago and estimated its age to be between 500 and 600 years old. Give or take a year or two. The university did return it to its exact spot within a half an inch. It's believed to be one of the oldest Native American canoes in Florida. Now the Silver River here is 100% spring fed. There's 100 locations based on how much water flow comes out, not how big the opening is. So the largest is the first magnitude, the smallest is an 8th magnitude. So the springs we just saw, they're the smallest in the spectrum. The next one we're going to see is at first magnitude. It's one of 2 along the river here, one of 27 in the entire state. This will be the second largest spring you're going to see today. So below us, it's about 6 feet deep. As we come on, drop off the other side here, we'll drop off to 29 feet.
I thought it was only like 1 foot down. 100.
This spring is called the Blue Grotto. Now the water gets the pretty blue tint from the natural light filtering down through the water column. In order to be classified as a first magnitude spring, this spring must produce at a minimum 100 cubic feet of water per second.
Wow.
All of the 120 springs combined have been known to produce at their maximum flow. This one is 60 million by itself. All the other ones combined, 860 million a day. Gallons. Now, how many came on board to see a real live alligator? Fantastic. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see in there. They really disguise themselves as a log really good. Now, we have 2 ways to measure alligators here at Silver Springs. The first way is the most accurate. I can nose the boat in there. If somebody'd like to jump out with a tape measure, it's only about a foot deep. Nope. Okay. The other way is you estimate how far it is from the tip of their nose down their snout to their eyes in inches. Convert that to feet. That's pretty good. So what they do is they'll climb out there, use that shell like a giant solar panel, sucks up the sun's warmth, warms their blood, and that's how they stay active. So these guys are recharging using Mother Nature. So you know what we call a log with turtles recharging on it? It's a shell station. The ocean, that's where the other critters come from. They look like that 1,800-pound great potato with a tail. Nobody else calls them manatees. Primarily during the wintertime. This boat here is primarily used for the extended trips. It goes down river and back 90 minutes. A 3-mile round trip. Great way to take photographs and stuff. You never know what we're going to see downriver. Unfortunately, we're not running them right now just because of limited capacity. It's not cost effective. So if you ever want to take those trips, whenever we open them back up again Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11, 1, and 3, make sure you put it online because it usually sells out. This time of year, if you're not familiar with the Florida weather, the last boat was nice path walkways throughout the gardens here in the property. You can come down here and enjoy the benches. You never know what's going to swim, slither, fly, or crawl by. There's also some TV show history there on the wall. It fell in this spring several years ago. Before it fell, it was 100 years old. It's been here for 200 years. You ever saw the TV show Axemen or Swamp Loggers? This is the type of tree they're looking for. This tree is worth a lot of money because it's so old.
Yeah. It's broken.
Oh, no, in a boat.
Oh, there is a boat down there. Look at that. We were wondering where that thing sunk. We've been looking for it for about 5 years. Don't worry, Captain Tim is okay. Still missing some passengers, but yeah, Captain Tim don't work anymore. Now that's a replica of one of our old wooden glass bottom boats. Some more turtles out here to the left on another shell station. Here are some of the original Tarzan movies in the 1930s starring Johnny Weissmuller. You'll see this tree in several scenes. You ever saw the 1985 movie called Legend? Actor's first motion picture that he made. He wound up being quite famous. You may have heard of him. Tom Cruise did his swim stunts right here. And if you ever saw the 2004 movie called Hoot, H-O-O-T, about 3 young teenagers here in Florida to try to battle a land developer to save some endangered owls, they filmed scenes right here and down in the Keys. It was all made in Florida. Got a bunch of young actors making their first motion picture in that one too. You got Logan Lerman and Cody Labella. I think Cody played Percy Jackson in Lightning Thief. The sisters played by none other than Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. And you can never go wrong about a fact-based nature movie here in Florida that's got Jimmy Buffett as a high school teacher. Now we're going to test your Florida history. If you get it wrong, I don't make you swim back very far. So choose your answers correctly, because you will be answering for the entire boat. Back in the 17 and early 1800s, we had a group of people that lived here in Florida that were native. Does anybody know what they called them?
Seminole.
The Seminoles. You know what Seminole means? Seminole actually means runaway. The way they got their name is as the population increased down the East Coast, the Native Americans from all over southern United States would actually flee or run to Florida to get away from everybody. So they're made up of Creek, Mississippi, Cherokee, and even runaway African slaves. Now in 1832, the federal government was going around trying to convince the Seminole chiefs to sign a piece of paper. Now they told them if they signed this paper, they were going to be left alone. Well, they didn't believe the federal government anymore, so they got a spokesperson to represent them. Now this spokesperson's birth name was Billy Powell. Now you're probably more familiar with his Seminole name, which is
Chief Osceola.
Osceola. Now Osceola was a warrior general. He was in charge of all the warriors. Now, what made Osceola so special and so well known and respected amongst the Seminole people is his mother was Native American and his father was English and Scottish. So he could read, write, and speak the English language. Not a lot of people could do that in 1832, never mind a Native American. So he read the treaty, he went back and reported to the chiefs and told them, hey, we signed this piece of paper, we're giving our land to the federal government, and we're agreeing to move off of it and relocate to Oklahoma on a reservation. The chief said, no, we're not leaving. We're done. Tell them no thank you. And we'll fight if we have to. So that's what he did. So coming up on the right-hand side of the boat up here in the garden, you'll see a statue. That is of Osceola. In front of him on that stump is the Treaty of Payne's Landing. To make sure the federal government didn't misunderstand the Seminole people, he pulled his dagger out in his right hand and he stabbed that document. That's what he's doing in that statue there. Now when he did that, that did start the Second Seminole Indian War here in Florida, which out of all the Indian wars in the entire United States, this one was the longest and most costliest Indian war for the federal government in history. Anybody know why it's the longest? It's still going on, officially. The Native American, the Seminole people have never signed a treaty with the federal government, so they are technically still at war. That's why the Seminole people pride themselves as being the unconquered. Of course, unless they're playing the Gators, that's a different story. Now we are coming to the end of our tour. I know, everybody's sad. But we end the tour with the beginning. This area in front of us here is the beginning of the Silver River. This spring is so massive, it is 65 feet long. The highest opening of the spring entrance is actually 5 feet tall. So as we come up here, we're going to keep turning to the right here. In a moment, if you'll focus your attention under the glass and look out towards the front part of the glass, there's the front part of the boat down there, you'll start seeing a rock wall come into view, then you'll see a dark shadow below it. That is the spring entrance on this side. This spring is called Mammoth Spring. It's coming into view below us here. Now it's kind of hard to grasp the sheer volume of water coming out of that cave just because it's so big. But out of that 850 million gallons of water a day that all these springs can produce, 550 million of those gallons would come out of this spring below
Yeah, they're waiting on it.
you. So over 2/3 of all the water that you see on this river come out of the ground below us here. Now below us it's 30 feet deep. Down inside the cavern it is 55 feet deep. So you see how deep this basin is, you see how big around it is. This entire basin will refill with brand new fresh water about every 38 minutes. This is considered to be the largest artesian spring in the world. It's the other side of the cave over here. Now, if you ever saw the James Bond movie Thunderball starring Sean Connery, 1965, it's supposed to take place in the Bahamas. The big fight scene with all the scuba divers and stuff does take place in the Bahamas. However, all those close-up scenes were shot below us, as that wall is a backdrop of all the actors. If you ever saw any of the Sea Hunt episodes, which is a pretty cool TV show for you guys to watch over the summertime on Netflix, but you'll watch it. They're supposed to be out in the Pacific Ocean, but certain scenes, if you pause it, you can actually see this rock wall in the background. You pay close attention, you see a largemouth bass swim by, you see a blue shad swim by. They did over 50% of all the underwater scenes for that TV show here at Silver Springs. Another real popular TV show back in the 60s was called I Spy, starring Robert Culp and Bill Cosby. Now, in one of those episodes, they knew they found the lost city of Atlantis because they found giant statues underwater that looked like Greek gods. Well, I can guarantee you they did not find Atlantis, and I can prove that. You ready? What do you see below the boat there? See 3 statues standing there looking at you?
Yeah.
Those are the actual props from the TV show. They're 7 feet tall. They're made out of fiberglass. If you wish to get a selfie with one, you'd have to swim down there 28 feet, and the park ranger who was up there on the deck is going to have a little chat with you because there's no swimming. They can actually see one through the window over here in the education center. They did move a lot of the exhibits over here to the ballroom so you can walk by outside and see them.
Yeah.
Another James Bond movie, 1979, was called Moonraker, starring Roger Moore. About halfway through that movie, he gets pushed in this little fish pond while he's in a cave. All of a sudden, this 18-foot anaconda snake comes out of the bushes and attacks the character. Guess where that bush is? Right here behind me. Wraps around the character, drags him over a rock ledge. That's the rock ledge below us. Okay? Now, a lot of people didn't think that snake was real because he just basically laid there because he got cold because of the water. So the diver actually had to pretend to fight him. Now you can go on YouTube and you can YouTube that movie trailer. And when you see the scene with the diver wearing the suit wrapped up in the snake, if you pause it, you can see the faces of all 3 statues in the background. Now they were here filming for almost a week. That scene in the movie, maybe 45 seconds. But the statues only made the trailer, not the movie. So, yeah, a lot of neat stuff done here. Very cool. Well, folks, this is going to conclude our tour on the Silver River today. I hope you guys had a good time.
Oh, my God.